Welcome, beautiful, to the Creating Change podcast with Emma Bradford. Creating change to fall back in love with ourselves and life. Each episode, I'll be offering insightful stories, concepts, and practical takeaways to inspire your day, reconnecting to the authentic essence within. Are you ready, lovely, to embrace yourself even more and awaken to the magic life has to offer? Let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of Creating Change with Emma Bradford. Welcome to today's episode as we dive into the power of words. Words are incredibly powerful. I'll be sharing a few words that can create a massive impact in how we perceive things and whether we're remaining stuck or being able to open up and see the bigger picture and start moving into an area of possibility and change and opportunity. It's amazing, the power of words. And it's also important just to notice how we're talking to ourselves, how we talk about things to others. What language are we using? Are we talking about things in a way where, like, I can't do this, everything's hopeless, everything is a nightmare? Or are we talking about things as in what we're learning from those experiences, what opportunities are arising? Now, many of you know that I'm an NLP trainer, and I've been teaching NLP and also doing coaching sessions for about 10 years now, as of the time of recording this. And language is something that we really look into in depth in NLP. After all, the name NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, Neuro Linguistic Programming. So a massive part of it is all about the linguistics, what words we're using, how we're talking to others, how we're talking to ourselves, how we can communicate to clients to help them break through any limiting beliefs and help them to really create a new relationship with their internal dialogue and start reframing things in a positive way. So there are some words of which we call modal operators in NLP. And these words are along the lines of I should or I shouldn't, I must or I mustn't, or I have to. Those words, when you hear those, notice what happens within your body. When you say to yourself, I should or I shouldn't, how does that feel? How does that feel within your body? Does that feel easy, light, flowing, relaxing? Or does that feel pressurizing, stressful? It's interesting to notice how language can affect our physiology and our emotional state. Everything is interlinked, mind, body, everything. So according to how we're talking about things, we can really create a massive impact on how we're feeling and our emotional well-being. So if we're constantly saying to ourselves, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, I have to do this, I mustn't do that, or I must do this, placing lots and lots of pressure on ourselves, how are we going to feel? For most people, that would be stressed, anxious, worried, and more. And why do we need to do that? There's enough pressure in the world. There's enough stress in the world. We don't need to pile on more to ourselves. So what about moving from I should to I could, or I can, or I can choose? Notice the difference as we just change a couple of words around and switching a few words, that starts to feel a little different. When you hear, I can, I could, I choose to, feels very different, right? So just notice as you go about your day, how you're talking to yourself, how you're talking about things to others, how you're also writing things down on your Post-it notes. I shared a post about this a long time ago, and so many people responded and they absolutely loved it. And the Post-it note was showing an example of how we can talk to ourselves through our to-do lists. So I noticed myself in the past, I used to write to-do lists and the things that I needed to get done the next day. I would underline, put exclamation marks, everything in like big letters, bold, like make it really dramatic. Now, did that really make me want to do those things? Or was it putting on a lot of pressure? It was more of the latter. I felt more pressurized, seeing everything in capital letters and exclamation mark and underline. And what I decided to do was to play around with the language. So I then started to write the same thing on another Post-it note and changing it around. And I wrote down, it feels so good to complete X or whatever the task was. Or I choose to do X, whatever the thing is that I needed to do. So just starting to change the language around. And everyone's different. There may be some personal preferences in terms of particular words and phrases. So it's just noticing like what words help you to feel more relaxed, at ease, calm, and what words pile on the pressure. So that's the first thing that I want to talk about, is those shoulds and can'ts and have tos. What if you can? What if you can choose? And what if there are many possibilities? Starting to notice the shift in that. Now, there are a few more phrases that I wanted to mention. So the power of words, I mean, obviously this could be a massive, massive topic. This could be a whole training, NLP training, obviously. Though just for this bite-sized episode, here are a few more phrases. So when we're feeling stuck, when we're feeling that everything is all doom and gloom and there's a lot of pressure and worries and we're feeling overwhelmed and everything's too much, we can start asking opening questions. We can start asking ourselves questions that open everything up. So, for example, what if there's another way? And what happens when we ask that question to ourselves, we don't need to know the answer straight away, though what we're doing is we're sending a message to our mind, who is always listening to what we're saying, our unconscious mind. The reticular activating system within the unconscious mind starts looking for the answer. It's like a faithful servant. It really wants to find out the answer to that question. So then we'll start paying attention to things in our reality that can actually help us change or shift whatever it is we're going through. So what if? Just those two words. What if? And then we can add on other words to the end. So what if there's another way? What if there's a solution? What if there's an answer? Notice how that opens everything up. Another variation of that is, I wonder. I wonder what gifts will I see today? I wonder what gifts I will experience today. I wonder what blessings in life are coming my way. I wonder what solutions are possible. I wonder opens everything up in a very joyful, magical way. And just by asking that question to ourselves, I wonder, how can I see things differently? How can I choose to navigate this challenge in a different way? Rather than, oh, everything's rubbish, everything's a nightmare, I can't get out of this. Going from that to, I wonder what opportunity is being presented. So it's not to bypass, it's simply just to allow ourselves to move to a little bit more of a resourceful state, so then we can then help ourselves to really navigate whatever it is that we're going through and learn from it in the best way that we possibly can. One of my favorite words, well, word is just one word. One of my favorites is the word yet. Now, this is so powerful, yet. And I'll give you an example. So say that there's a new skill or a new thing that we want to acquire or bring into our life. We want a new house, or we want a new partner, or we want a new job. And we may talk about it and think about it in terms of like, oh, I haven't got that, or I don't have it. And just by adding on the word yet to the end of that sentence changes everything. Because then you're not affirming and saying that you don't have it. You're just saying that you don't have it yet. And it starts to send a message to the mind that actually you are open to that changing. You are open to things shifting and transforming. Everything's moving. Life is change. Nothing is static all of the time. And just adding on the word yet, we can start to transform things and move things and acknowledge that things are moving and changing and anything is possible. Wonderful, wonderful experiences can occur. And you may have heard of these two words, I am, and the power of I am. So when you say I am and whatever comes after that, it's like you're affirming that about yourself. So be really mindful about what you're saying about yourself. I am. Are you saying I am ugly, or I am hopeless? Or are you choosing to see the gifts that you have? I am capable. I am worthy. Pay attention to what you place after those words, I am. Start to fill your vocabulary, fill your conversations, fill your thoughts with all of these empowering words, and notice what changes. Notice what shifts and transforms as you do that. So what words are you noticing? What words are you noticing that you speak a lot of? And how are you talking about yourself? Are there any negative, limiting phrases in there? Pick one for this week and start to change that. So every time that pops up, you can get curious about it and notice, where does that come from? When did I decide that? When did I learn that? If you wanted to dive into things deeper. And just start to change it there in the moment. Start shifting those I can'ts to I can, and those shoulds and have tos to I could choose. Asking yourself opening questions. What if there's a possibility? What if there are solutions? I wonder what magical gifts I'll meet today. You may have heard the outro of this podcast. I actually say that I wonder what magical gifts you'll experience in your day. It just starts to plant a seed within the unconscious mind of start looking for those gifts, that life can be magical, life can be wonderful. And notice how you're talking about yourself, whether you're affirming that you haven't got something, and if that's the case, add on the word yet, and notice what you're placing after the words I am. So obviously this is a massive topic that could be explored in much more depth, though I'll leave it there. I'd love to hear what words you're noticing and what you're transforming in your vocabulary. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, beautiful. You're amazing. All resources and links can be found on my website, www.emmabradford.net. Link is in the show description. Do come and join my community and share your takeaways from this episode. I'd really love to hear. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I wonder, what magic will you experience in life today?